I really enjoyed this episode for what it was. I mean, there was a bit of an inconsistency at the end. Like, it's like, how can these guys use Potaras in here? Zeno didn't say anything about it at all. Is that whole, like, you can't bring this, can't bring that rule just might as well never have been said at this point because, of course, they can veto it and say, hey, this is allowed, that's allowed, whatever, the Zenos I'm talking about, but if they're not even going to acknowledge it, which they may do next week, so I don't want to judge that too hard, then it kind of was a pointless thing to establish at all. Like, Roshi just kind of just blatantly used stuff, and it didn't really matter to Zeno, and, things of that nature. So I don't really like that in theory, but again, I don't know if they're going to say something about it next weekend, but I highly doubt it at this point, based on the fact that the episode didn't just outright end when that character finished fusing, right? There's a little bit more in there. She got a punch in. She kind of, I guess, underestimated her own speed, or that was a feint or something like that. I don't know if that was feint. Not like she fainted, but feint with F-E-I-N-T. So anyways, moving on. I like the episode for what it was, but it was also kind of weird in the middle because you could tell that it was animated by different groups, which is perfectly fine by me. But there was such a drastic change in the animation from the beginning episode and the end of the episode, and in the middle was just like normal Dragon Ball Super, but the beginning and the end kind of was like really, really detailed and had a little bit heavier lining, and it looked really good, actually. Like, I wish that every episode could look like that, right? And the fight sequences were really well animated and choreographed, and I really enjoyed that too. But the middle portion was just like, oh. And, it was really glaring. If you go back and rewatch the episode, there's an early episode flashback to, I think, Kale going berserk the first time or something like that. So anyways, it happened a while ago, but either way, you can kind of watch the beginning of the episode and see, oh, amazing animation, then flashback to earlier. It's like, oh, that's that kind of like, crappy animation, kind of what art style that we got used to and we're accustomed to with Super. So that art just was like, I don't know. I'm not going to hark on that too much because I thought that was really cool and it was really well done. But I just would have liked for the whole episode to be like that. It was a minor nitpick because I think that the middle portion of the episode was cool too. Another thing that I did enjoy was the reemergence of Super Saiyan God. I still don't like this whole Goku static recovery thing that he's doing. I've been talking about it the last couple weeks. I still don't really like it, but at least it's become a progressive thing. He's just kind of making his way through all of his forms while he's fighting Kale and Caulifla. Now, this episode does a really weird thing scaling-wise because I'm going to have to rewatch it a couple of times, but it kind of seemed like, Kale, right? For example, Kale powers up. She transcends her limits to where she winds up going berserk again, and then she is able to control that secondary berserk form. So that second berserk form that she'd used was stronger than her very first berserk form because she transcended her limits. So apparently these characters have just immense potential, which is perfectly fine with me. They're Saiyans. Also, that universe's Saiyans did develop a little bit differently, so you have to kind of consider that. But at some point, I feel like that, you can't use that as an excuse, but I digress as far as that's concerned. She does transcend her limits, winds up controlling that. But then later on, Goku goes God. After getting mollywopped by both of them in their tag team assault, he goes God, and then it's like, oh, well, Kale seems to kind of hold her own a lot better than Caulifla does, which is fine too, but probably a little bit too much for my liking. It just seemed like, Goku was the strongest one there, and of course, if it was a one-on-one fight, this probably wouldn't have been an issue, but it seemed like Kale was able to go a little bit more toe-to-toe with him than I would have liked personally. Again, in comparison to Goku, because we know this is the God form, but at this point, man, I just feel like the God form has been completely power creeped by just about every strong competitor in the tournament arena, regardless of what level Super Saiyan they're using, which I fully expect, Kale's Berserk form to be somewhere around SS3 level. I feel like it's at least that powerful because, she fought Super Saiyan Blue Goku. He was unscathed and stuff like that. He wasn't scratched, previously whenever she was Berserk, and that was a weaker Berserk form, of course. So it's just kind of in that area. You have to kind of sit there and just you have to look at what they give you, and it's weird because they're not concrete about it. So, I don't know, just a minor little rant out of the way. But I do like the fact that they did the Potara. I feel like it's an ass pull, right? And that's just kind of what this show has become as far as these characters are concerned. I was thinking earlier on in the episode, like, why are they trying to spoon feed us these female characters? I have nothing against it, right? It's not like a sexist thing. Trust me, I have nothing against it. That's perfectly fine with me. I think that in theory, seeing female characters be prominent in this Tournament of Power is awesome. From Android 18 to Brienne to the female Saiyans, which is a whole other thing that's really cool. But it's like they've gone out of their way to kind of spoon feed them. But I will say that I am happy, regardless of that we're not seeing Ribrianne. We haven't seen Ribrianne in like, what, 2 or 3 weeks? I'm cool with that. But it's kind of to the point where it's like Kale and Caulifla are so hyped in this show right now. They're just giving them every single plot convenience possible, you know, including the Potara, to where it's just looking astoundingly like, overwhelmingly like Universe 6 is going to find a way to win this. Because we know that Potara is so powerful a fusion method. Even Vado says, hey, you know, they're more powerful than the sum of their parts. They get over tens of times stronger. And of course, we know that from Vegito. We have We have experience with Potara. But it's like every single possible convenience they can give these characters, they give it to them. And it kind of gets to a point where it's like, I like these characters, but damn, calm down. You know, it's like they're starting to become kind of annoying. And it is what it is. It's like, I like them, but take a break. If they're not strong enough, you don't have to immediately make them as strong as every other character that they fight, or find a way for them to team up and be strong enough, which, you know, teaming up wasn't really a thing pre-Dragon Ball Super, but they've totally made that a thing here. It was a thing early Dragon Ball Z, but they completely ditched that for one-on-one fights all the time. But, you know, another thing I kind of digress about, I just don't know, man. I don't know. But hopefully Kefla, you know, is a cool character. But I feel like they're going to just find a way to make them defuse, because they're going to probably make her too powerful. She may even try to go up against somebody like Jiren and just completely lose. I don't know if I liked them acting like she had limitless power. In fact, even stating that she had limitless power. They literally said her power is limitless. And I'm like, God damn it. You guys have such a high cap on powers. Like, for example, Goku, you just were Ultra Instinct. You're fighting Jiren, and you still can say something like that about Kefla? You still have the nerve to say that her power is limitless? How strong is this freaking character? Goku, you and Vegeta were Super Saiyan Blue. You know, Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. How strong is Kefla? Seriously. Like, they just do little things like that I don't know if I like them. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this episode in particular, because I didn't really plan to sit here and rant, because it's funny. If you listen to me, it sounds like I didn't like the episode, but I really enjoyed it. I did. I just have little nitpicks. It's like, come on, show. You got to do better than that. I don't know. Limitless power? Really? To where I understand Vegeta getting distracted while fighting Topo, but seriously. This should be nothing new. Like, Jiren literally has limitless power. He has enough power to shake that realm. And you're surprised by Kefla? I don't know. Of course, Goku's going Super Saiyan Blue next week. So, of course, he still knows he has a chance. And, of course, maybe, you know, you get in a position where you're starting to take those words too seriously. I'm sure that she's not the strongest character in the arena at this point. At the very least, I'm sure Jiren could body her, even if Goku can't without Ultra Instinct. I'm sure Jiren could body Kefla. So, again, don't want to put too much credence into it, but they shouldn't have used the wording that they did, if that's that case. So, anyways, hope that you guys enjoyed this. Again, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry if it sounded like I didn't. I'm kind of annoyed with Kale and Caulifla at this point. Not as bad as Ribrianne, but they're slowly inching towards that. It's cool that they're Saiyans, because if they weren't Saiyans, I'd be totally fed up with them. And that's funny. But anyways, have an awesome day. Thank you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take it easy, guys.